So today, what I propose is to go over the process, and it's a pleasure and honor to be here with you on what is the type of support that we at the Office of Program Evaluation can provide you. I see that one of my great colleagues, Dania Black, is also here. Welcome to everyone. My name is Edmond Zahidi, and I have been working on these kind of aspects for the last 5 years or so. Before, in my previous life, I was a professor in electrical and biomedical engineering. This is just to tell you how much I feel for you regarding going through this process. And the first time I was exposed to that process, that was about 20 years ago. It was painful, it was distracting, and this was the last thing on my agenda. We hope to provide you with a framework, with tools and processes, so that you will not feel what I felt the last time. And so today, what we are going to review is why we do what we are doing. Uh, what is the problem that we are trying to solve? Is there any problem that we are trying to solve here? And I will give you some examples, and then we'll dive into the process that we use at the University of Ottawa. And this will be the process that we shall be using. And I will also overview the tools that we have at our disposition in terms of documentation, in terms of organizations, and a call to action as next steps. So let's dive in what we are trying to do. Well, in order to understand or kind of explain what is that we are trying to do, I have taken a super simple example, which is the mountain climbing. So imagine you have been involved or you are involved in designing and teaching a program in mountain climbing. So let's reflect for 1 second about the outcomes of this program. Would that be saying that it is to understand the intricacies of mountain climbing, or to know about the equipment that the students are going to need? Should they be aware of the dangers that do exist, or you have something else in mind? So maybe this and something else in mind. Let's have another take at this and say that at the end of this program, students will be able to safely climb upward mountains. Upward is a fancy name for rugged, up to 3,000 meters in altitude. So immediately you see the difference. The difference is that in the previous version, we kind of emphasize we focus on what the knowledge that we are trying to transfer to the students, whether as in this case, we are really looking at what the students should be able to do. And this makes a whole difference. So what is the underlying area? The core idea of the problem is the problem that a PLO is addressing is that instead of stating what we are going to teach students, we state what learners will be able to do in other words, the learning outcomes. In short, we are stating the set of knowledge, the set of skills and attributes or abilities of the students, hinting to the fact that we are moving toward a competency-based education, primarily concerned with what students know and can effectively do with this knowledge. So again, this approach is radically different from just indicating what knowledge students are supposed to gain in the program. Which brings us to a definition of the program learning outcome. So as you can see, this is a clear statement of what students should be able to do. So you say it's on the line at the end of a learning program to demonstrate that they have acquired the required knowledge, skills, and aptitudes or attributes at the specified levels of performance. So first of all, it focuses on what students are able to do. So why do they need to do this or that? So this, we are talking about action verbs, in order for them to demonstrate that they have effectively, efficiently acquired the set of knowledge, skills, and aptitude that you as the academic program have decided that they should have. So everything is controlled, informed, derived by your vision and your will. Where do you want to go? And based on that, the program learning outcomes are going to state this vision, and you are going also to specify the levels of performance. Is it at the uh, undergraduate, or is it at a master level? Is it at a PhD level? So we need to take all these into consideration. So a quick word on the variations in terminology. We have, you will hear PLOs, program learning outcome, versus specific PLO versus general PLO. It's a wild west. So just in short, a general PLO is an institutional learning outcome. Again, a new jargon, sorry for that, but this is what is used in the field. And at University of Ottawa, in order to make things better or worse, I'm not sure which term I should use, we use your competencies. So you will hear objective, you will hear goal, you will hear aim, target, etc., etc., etc. In order to cut off all this fluff, we at the University of Ottawa, we have decided that we stick with PLO, program learning outcome, period. Nothing more, nothing less, program learning outcome. So you see, we are trying to take out all this fluff, all this extra information that is generally not very productive. It's very good for articles and production, but not very in practical point of view. Which brings us to an interesting point indeed. The focus of the learning outcomes, or the program learning outcomes, would be to articulate very clearly and concisely the KSA, knowledge, skills, and aptitudes of learners. Now, how do they demonstrate their capabilities? So we need to put the focus on what the students are going to produce, what are the artifacts or performances, something that they can show you, they can demonstrate to you that they are able to do. So before going further, what is not a PLO? Well, anything that touches on the description of instructional techniques used to deliver course content. Whether you use lectures, labs, it's online or self-study, self-directed fieldwork, serious games, etc., etc. All these pedagogical approaches will serve only as delivery mechanism of the content. They are not part of the PLO and should not be included in the PLOs. So in general, if the PLO is properly formulated, these pedagogical approaches would be logically derived. So again, it's another important aspect to stress that the PLOs should be properly formulated so that the assessment, the evaluation mode is kind of implicit for somebody who is reading this and somebody with sufficient knowledge of the field. Another important point is the EDI principles, equity, diversity, and inclusion, which encourages, as you know well, to use multiple pedagogical approaches instead of a single one. So this is another reason why pedagogical approaches should not be mentioned in the statement of PLOs, because how are you going to include so many different approaches? So I will make a short pause here if there are any questions. None that I see. Oh, I see one chat. Oh, yes. I will explain to you later about the music. It's a morning cafe. So the next question is, yes, it's good, but Edmond, you're proposing us to put so much energy and effort in the derivation of these PLOs. We're going to work with you multiple weeks, perhaps a few months. Who needs these PLOs at the end of the day? Well, students, they need PLOs. Why? Well, because gone are the days when a parchment was a guarantee for a decent, good paying job. Students need to know what competencies they will gain during their learning because they know what the market expects from them. Remember, a competency is obtained through a combined utilization of personal abilities, knowledge, skills, and other stuff that they learn through the following the program. They also need to know the expectations from them so they can budget their time and efforts accordingly. During their studies, students need to determine what have they mastered and what remains to be mastered. Finally, as we all know, completing any study program requires a great deal of personal efforts. Students are always faced with the existential question about, is this really worth so many sacrifices? Having a set of learning outcomes which gives them kind of direction will help dissipating these doubts. But that's not all. We also have the administration, the people who are running the university, folks who need to harmonize different programs to decide about creating new programs or giving an equivalency of their program to another one from another institution, to merge programs or simply to put to sleep a program. How are they going to decide about this? Are they going to dive into the courses? Are they going to look at the titles? No way. They need clear program learning outcomes. This is what defines a curriculum. Other universities and employers also, by looking at the program learning outcomes, they can identify the abilities of the graduates. They can decide whether this is a good fit for them or not, besides other factors. And most importantly, the professors, the instructors, those who will be in charge of delivering the content. So develop the courses. These courses need to be aligned with the program learning outcomes, to design the learning experience in terms of the content, in terms of the pedagogy, and evaluation of the learning also needs to be done in the framework of these courses. So how are they going to judge whether they have enough content or not enough content? Is this course that they are developing aligned with the other courses? Is this course at all supporting the program, or is it doing something on its own? Everything goes back to program learning outcomes. But which brings us to another topic, which means how these program learning outcomes are going to be infused inside the students or transferred to the students. Well, it's the famous spiral where we take students at the introductory level, we call this I level, and then in some other courses, I'm going to touch about that in a second, reinforce the topic, and then reintroduce again, reinforce it at the advanced level. So we are going to have I for introductory, R for reinforcement, and A for advanced. Please note that R, and A, all three refer to the awarded degree, which means this advanced does not mean Nobel Prize level, right? So IRA to a undergraduate degree is different from the IRA for a master's degree, which is different from IRA for a PhD. You are going against some extra jargon here. You are going to hear other terminology as well, just for the sake of the record. Instead of introductory, some colleagues at other universities, they may use basic, foundational, emerging. Instead of reinforcement, they may use intermediate, developing, progressing. Instead of advanced, they may use proficient, expert, mastery. They all mean the same thing. God forbid, nobody has said we need 5 levels so far, right? So everyone is sticking to 3 levels IRA. But how these IRA are going to be translated into course? What is the relation of all of that? Well, again, I love examples. Imagine that this is a pyramid that students need to build. And so one of the items is to build that pyramid, right? Students should be able to build that pyramid. So what is going to happen is that this particular PLO is going to be supported by courses at the I, course number 1, at the R, course number 2, and the A, course number 3. So which means that students are introduced step by step, and then their knowledge, the skills, the aptitudes are reinforced. And finally, they need all of them to reach the advanced level. At the end of the day, the full pyramid is what students should be capable of building, designing, whatever, right? For the sake of the example. So now, as a general rule, we don't teach only once. So we tend to have more coverage than once for each of the PLOs in the program. So what happens is that we are going to have, let's say, 2 courses, and usually we tend to target at least 2 courses that are going to cover the PLO in question at the introductory level, at least 2 courses that are going to cover the PLO in question at the reinforcement, and 2 courses at least that are going to cover at the advanced level. So this is just to give you an idea of how much coverage we judge enough. We need 2 times, not only 1 course that covers a PLO. In general, we have more than 1 course that touches on a specific PLO. So how do we know which course covers which PLO? Well, for those of you who have attended the session on Monday, I explained to you that we have 3 phases that are related to the support that me, as the lead analyst, can provide you, is the strength and weakness analysis, the PLO revision, and then the course PLO mapping. Well, we are looking at the phase course PLO mapping, which is going to come after the PLO revision. So this is our next topic, but this is just to give you the connection between the parts. So I have created this table. On the left-hand column, you have the courses. I have imagined that I have a program with 18 courses, 1 to 18, and I have a program which has 15 PLOs, right? And as you can see, I have put the I, the R, and the A. Wow, this is too neat. This is too ideal. Obviously, it's fabricated data, right? How does this look in reality? Well, in reality, this is how it looks like. With the permission of the academic unit in question, I have reproduced here. So they had 13 PLOs. Here we have listed 41 courses. And as you can see, there are I, R, and A all over the place. And sometimes the gray means that it's not covered. So yes, this is the raw data. Now, what will happen in the next phase, and this is why working the PLOs nicely and safely is so important, is that based on the program learning outcomes that we are going to revise, or for some of you to create, if you don't have program learning outcomes for your program, the next phase would be to evaluate the alignment of the courses. By course, I mean any instructional activity. So a PhD thesis is a course in the context that we are looking, anything that has a code. An internship is a course. So anything that is offered to students to bring them up to speed to the A level in all the PLOs should be listed here. And then there are criteria. This is a whole story, different story. There will be an onboarding. Don't worry about that. We are going to talk about this in detail. But this is just to make the point to kind of connect the dots. Where are we going? Why are we doing what we are doing? So in this short section, I propose to look at some examples of problems that may be created by improperly expressed PLOs. So if you still have any reservation about the need for well-crafted PLOs, I hope that this section will convince you about the cost of not expressing PLOs properly. Let's dive in with the examples. Hypothetical example, which is not very far, to be honest with you, it's something that I have seen, all right? No offense meant to no one. I'm not saying whether was our university, other university, but I have seen things similar. At the end of this program, students will be able to, and so far so good, this is the way PLO should be drafted, make an impact on the health of the country. Well, or a country. Wait a minute. What type of impact are we talking about? Are we looking at the economic side? Are we political side, socio-demographic side? Is it short term? Is it long term? Is it entry level impact? Is it high level impact? Lots of questions. So imagine now for 1 second that you are a professor in charge of designing a course and offering a course that needs to cover this PLO. How on earth are you going to do that? Because there are so many questions to answer. Example number 2, a real example this time, taken from a real PLO. I let you read. As you can see, it's convoluted. It's very mixed up. I'm not sure exactly what is the objective, what the students are capable to do at the end, how to design 1 or 2 courses or multiple courses, and how. So you understand that there are going to be endless academic discussions about what this PLO means. This course is better or that one is less good, etc., etc. So we're not going to get out of this. There must be a better way to express a PLO, and there is. The good news is that there is. How are we going to do that? Well, we have criteria. First of all, the PLO has to be specific to the discipline and specific to the degree. So that is item number 1. A PLO that is applicable to any program in the world or at the university is not a valid PLO. First. Happy? Yes. Then, what else? Well, I need to measure, I need to be able to observe the performance of the students. You remember in the definition of the PLO, we are stating what students should be capable, able to do, right? So I should be able to observe their performance and then measure that performance, which means I need to think in terms of assessment techniques, how I'm going to assess the performance of the students on the specific PLO. I need to observe in order to be fair to everyone. And finally, a well-expressed learning outcome should be achievable. We all know that we have limited time, limited manpower, limited material, limited labs, limited money, limited funding. The students, they have the time that they have, not more than that. So they have limited efforts, they have a capacity, and they need to prepare for that. So again, this is also something that we need to keep in mind. We cannot imagine sending students to the moon while we don't have the spacecraft to do so. So let's recap. Well-expressed PLOs have to be specific to this discipline, specific to the degree, measurable, achievable in terms of criteria that we have seen. There are other criteria that are used in the literature. I will limit myself here to these main 3 criteria. Again, I'm trying to take out all the fluff, anything that is too much of detail and too much of a context out of scope. And we are going to aim for clarity in the expression, not expressions that are convoluted, conciseness of the PLO, and each PLO will be designed and crafted in such a way that it covers an independent aspect of knowledge, skills, and aptitudes, which means we are going to try to reduce the redundancies. A PLO should not repeat another PLO, should complement it, should look in another direction. Which direction? You are going to guide and inform that direction, you as the academic unit. You are in control. You are mastering all of that. Let's go back to our PLO, the badly expressed PLO, if I may quote unquote, make an impact on the health of the country. And here is some interpretation or some kind of rendering of this PLO. I propose to say that I would say analyze public health issues by working in interdisciplinary groups to infer policy guidelines. Analyser les enjeux de santé publique en collaboration avec des groupes interdisciplinaires pour formuler des recommandations politiques. As you can see, it's specific. I would say it's specific to discipline. You would agree with me. If I ask you, what is the degree that is targeted? Oh, immediately I see analyze, infer, policy guidelines. This cannot be an undergraduate degree, right? So either this is master or doctorate degree. It's high level. And it's measurable. How do I know it's measurable? Well, I have scenarios, case studies, I have reports, I can share real data with the students, gauge how good they are at analyzing this data and how good they are, how they can justify the policy guidelines they may infer, how good all of this is. And achievability, it's you to judge and to tell us whether these are achievable or not. Do you have the resources? Do you have the manpower? Do you have the information, the databases? Do you have access to all of that in the course of the, let's say, 2 years or 4 years of graduate studies? So this is a very, very simplified example that shows how this is going to work. Now, the question that I get all the time is, what is the right number of PLOs? It's an eternal question. And to be able to answer this question, we have developed, and we are using, it's not us who have developed, we have kind of perfected, maybe I may say, but I was not the first one to do that, a set of criteria, rulers. First of all, we have the degree level expectations. This is mandated by the OCAV, by the ministry. And we're going to look at that criteria. Then we have some rubrics, the rubrics that we have refined over the years. And finally, we have the UO competencies. You remember these are institutional learning outcomes that we at the University of Ottawa, we call UO competencies. So the combination of these will tell us, is this the right PLO? And do we have the right number of PLOs? Okay, fair enough, but you may say, give me an order of magnitude. Well, all of this is beautiful talk, but order of magnitude. Well, order of magnitude, if you would like to have some numbers in mind, this is not God's word. Bachelor degree, 120 units, 4 years program, recommended, we tend to target between 12 to 15. Now, I have programs undergraduate that are very happy with 10 PLOs. Fair enough. I have undergraduate program that say I need 16 PLOs. Fair enough. As long as you are sure that this is achievable. Can you cover all of that? Do you have the resources? And it's specific, it's measurable, everything is respected. For the other types of, let's say, major, master, PhDs, we tend to stay hover between 4 to 5 or 4 to 6, depending on the case. I have also master program, which came up with 3 PLOs because they said, oh, these are the 3 main areas that I want. Please remember, a PLO, program learning outcome, is different from a course learning outcome. A program learning outcome is more general. It's encompassing lots of items. Course learning outcome is specific, is much more specific. It's going to target a specific area. So this is why we don't aim at lots of PLOs. And I have seen programs, don't ask me to tell you which program, with 33 PLOs. A special but important case. programs that are accredited by professional associations. So what is the problem? Well, they have very specific requirements, very specific language. In short, that is the situation. The program needs to be accredited by an external organization with very specific tight requirements in terms of learning outcome, but they don't call it learning outcome. They use objectives, foundational objectives, or general aims. They have their own jargon. That's their right. The problem for us is that the way they express their learning outcomes or objectives is not the best way. They are not using the action verbs, the syntax that we use, etc. So how are we going to deal with this situation? Well, what we are going to do for these cases is to continue to use the universal syntax for PLOs and our tools to develop the PLOs according to the vision of the academic unit for the program in question or programs in question. We do this PLO for all the programs, PLO revision. Then we are going to ensure that these PLOs are well aligned with the requirements of the external professional body or organization. So this is something important to keep in mind. And at the end of the day, we need to do some extra work. What is the extra work? To create a map showing the correspondence between the PLOs that we have as such with the required outcomes by the professional association. Well, that's the price to pay because of the accreditation. Nothing comes free. Let me give you some example. For example, for maîtrise en service social, we had to do alignment with the ACFTS. On the left-hand side, you have the objectif d'apprentissage fondamental numéro 1. This is how the ACFTS calls their program learning outcome. I told you they have different names. And PLO 1 kind of summarizes all the information and all the elements without necessarily reproducing all the details. So PLO 1 is in the green box. Let's move on to another program. This is the MSc in Clinical and Translational Medicine that we started. On the left-hand side, you have degree level expectation that are connected to the program learning outcomes. On the right-hand side, you have entrustable professional activity. This is how they call this. It's not objective, it's not outcome, it's entrustable professional activities. And they have 12 domains, and each domain declines into milestones. And finally, at the end of the day, they have 85 milestones. This is to tell you that there are so many variants. Let's see in engineering. If some of you are from engineering, and I can see some colleagues from engineering, well, we have course learning outcomes, then we have indicators, graduate attributes. We don't have program learning outcomes. The good news is that the program learning outcomes actually are the indicators that are set by a faculty program and are very specific to. So the graduate attributes are much more aligned with the institutional program learning outcomes, as you can see, the general critical thinking, communication skills, etc. For example, for a BSc in mechanical engineering, we did a mapping with CAB graduate attributes, and the PLO 1 in green is kind of covering the items in the box in the right. We don't have time to go to the full details, but this is just to tell you that there is a layer of extra work that needs to be done. Okay, are there any questions so far? Before diving into the process for PLO revision at the university? No, we are good? All right. So how are we going to do that at the university? Well, the case depends on whether you're targeting a single program, whether this is undergraduate or graduate program or multi-program. Let's go step by step. First, we tackle the case for a single program. The process is shown here. I'm going to go very slowly. Please do not hesitate to interrupt me and ask questions right now, because this is the core of what we are going to do in the next few weeks. This bar, this arrow, represents time. Anything below this arrow is the work of the lead analyst, I in this occurrence, and anything on the above is the academic unit. So we are in stage one. In stage one, I will ask you to provide the existing PLOs for your program that you would like to revise, you would like to review. And in order to enter this stage and move on to next stage number two, I will ask you also, you will receive an email from my side to have a look if you haven't done so. As a series, we are going to look at these the tools, right? Series of PLO video modules. The total time running time is 2 hours altogether. They consist of very short segments, and this is just to give us a common lingo in order to be able to discuss. Why? Because in phase two, what is going to happen is that yours truly is going to share with you suggestions about reformulation of these PLOs. And in order for you to better comprehend why I'm saying what I'm saying, these videos, they have a kind of coverage of all the details that you need to know. So once I suggest reformulation, you are going to have a look at it, and it's your turn to validate or to make comments. So in general, this is how it's going to work. You provide your PLOs. I provide the list based on the original PLOs that were provided by you. And you tell me, oh, I like this, but this one, I'm not sure. This one is, I don't get it. This one, we need to tweak it, modify this, why that, etc., etc. So again, you do your comments and you send it to me, back to me. We're going to iterate between 3 to 4 times between me and the academic unit, your committee. Finally, you have the final word. This is extremely important to note. It's you who will validate these PLOs, and you will kind of sign off and say that these PLOs are what I intend students to be capable of at the end of the program. That is extremely important. So once we are at this stage, we enter the stage of using our rubrics. I told you we have criteria, right? So we're going to pass these through the rubrics. I'm going to share the rubrics with you in a moment. This is also something that will come from you. So you are going to evaluate the PLOs according to a set of criteria. Once we go to the next stage, well, generally what happens is that 1 or 2 PLOs are found in need of more refinement. So this is what is going to happen in phase 5. Phase 5, there's going to be some refinement, and I will be on your side at your service to suggest reformulation to realign this with the syntax, not to go away from the syntax that we have. Then final stage of the fine-tuning is the mapping of the PLOs to the degree level expectations. This is a map that will be copied, paste inside the report, and your competencies. Once we are here, your PLOs are extremely robust, and phase 6 in general is something in the order of 15 minutes. We do it very rapidly, 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and it's done. Why? If everything before is done properly, this will take 10 minutes, phase 6. Then you launch an internal consultation with the professors. At least we recommend strongly launching an internal consultation. So how does this work? First, briefing of the professors. What is the intent of this activity? What were our PLOs? What are our new PLOs? What is a PLO? The thing that you have to be careful is to convey this information that PLOs are not CLOs. So a prof should not look for his or her course in the PLOs, because this is not how this works. So this is reason number 1, to make sure that nothing has been forgotten, nothing is left out. From time to time, there is one professor who says, you have left out this aspect of the discipline. And then we need to go back and do some tweaking. This is what happens in phase 8. Usually we give 2 days to 3 days to professors to react. So this is a short consultation period. The other reason why professors should be consulted, remember, professors are going to be in charge of developing the courses. So they should be familiar, they should comprehend the PLOs themselves. They should be able to visualize what these PLOs mean, right? And remember also that in the phase 3 of, phase 3, next activity that we are going to have, which means the course PLO mapping, they are going to be in charge of deciding the IRA for each course. Long story short, internal consultation with professors is extremely important. If there is a change, we will do fine tuning, suggest reformulation, you have the final word, validation, end of story. Okay, now I told you that this is for the single program. If you have one program, what happens if you have a bunch of programs? And I have seen in the communication regarding the strength and weakness analysis that many of the academic units, they have multi-programs to be. Well, we simplify the process and we segment it into 2 segments. Part A, I will be providing support for you to revise the PLOs for your flagship or your model program. What is a flagship? Well, the flagship program is the program for which you would like your academic unit to be remembered for. This is what you are known for. This is what you are good at. This is your core educational activity concentrated on this area. So it depends. In undergraduate and graduate might be different. So we do whatever I told you for the single program, we do it step by step, very carefully, very attentively for your flagship program. Once this is done, I let you do the revision of the PLOs for the other programs because this is not rocket science. Once you have this, and the programs are not going to be very dissimilar. There are lots of overlaps. Remember, for 2 programs to be different, they need to have different PLOs. But this difference can start by 1 PLO of difference between program 1 and program 2. They don't need to be all different, but they have to be different, at least in 1 PLO. So the revision of the PLOs for other programs, I will be at your disposition again to support you for the fine tuning with the wording, etc. And that takes care of the multiple program revision. Okay? All right. So next section, the organization. Let me give you very quickly an overview. I'm going to create share with you a public area. This is a read-only. This is the green area. With you, where you have access to all the files, all the guides, all the templates, etc., etc. The trouble is that there are 500 files, so it's a jungle. So instead of kind of throwing, you will have access, but instead of asking you to go and pick up, I'm going to create a common and private area that is going to be unique to your academic unit. And I will ask you to introduce me to any colleague from your academic unit that needs access so that I can give access. All of this is on SharePoint on the cloud. And I will be uploading the relevant files as we progress through these activities. So you don't have to worry which file, because 500 files is not easy to tackle, but I know all of those files. So it will be my role one by one, once we progress, to put this file, send you the link to the file and tell you, okay, I need this information in this file, please, and notify me. I'm going to share with you in the chat area. A file, I hope that you have access, but anyway, I'm going to show you. Here we go. If you click on these links, this is what you are going to see. So this is the public area. So if you click on the useful links of the in the PDF that I just shared, and hopefully I pray God that it will work. You will have access to guides, help with OneDrive presentation timelines. If you go to guides, then you have 0, 1 is SWOT. And then PLO, résultats d'apprentissage. Here you have samples. So what does it say? You have all the PLOs that I have been developing with various academic units. So you can look at formatted PLOs, and you have PLO for arts, education, engineering, health sciences, etc. For example, let's click on arts. And you can see that you have honors Bachelor of Arts in philosophy. At the end of this program, students will be able to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you have the list of program learning outcomes. Thank you, Daniel, for confirming that it works. I'm very happy to hear that. So you have all these. These are examples that can give you an idea of what has been done and where are we going, in which direction we are going. Then we have the rubrics that I mentioned to you. So again, I will make sure that I will upload this file for you. So this is the grid that I mentioned to you, right? So you have category, you have discipline specific, grade level specific, measurability, comprehensiveness, student experience, and sequence. So, and for each item, you have inadequate, developing, adequate. It's you who's going to judge these PLOs, right? And we aim at between 7 to 10. That is for the rubrics. I'm trying to get rid of this bar. Here we go. PLO evaluation rubrics, yes. So we can go back. I wanted to show you the DLEs, the degree level expectation. As you see, many files. And let's take the French, the English version. Here we go. So this is how it looks like. You have the degree level expectations. This is for undergraduate degree. For graduate degrees, is one DLE is different. That's all. So you have 6 of them. And what needs to be done is for each of the PLO to, according to your own judgment, which topics is it going to address? And good news is that one PLO is going to be designed in such a way that it addresses more than one topic on the left-hand side column. So we'll copy paste the program learning outcome, and we'll also indicate the UO competencies. So when we say UO competencies, I'm talking about this famous wheel. These are the transversal capabilities or abilities of the students. In the useful links, you can also have access to some YouTube videos. So these are the recording that I have developed for this activity exactly. So you have the version in English, it's my voice, French is in synthetic voice. So please do look at these, do watch these. All of this is going to take 2 hours of your time, but it's time well spent. You have more information on my previous department. I depended of the teaching and learning service support. So you have all this information. You see the famous diagram here. You have a link. And what I like also is the teaching toolbox. I put for you a link on useful links. And on this teaching toolbox, you need to look at writing learning outcomes. And once you click here, you have the different domains and you have the different levels here. And all of that is explained in the videos. This is why it's super important that you watch the videos. We don't have time to cover all of that here. And you have a list of verbs. I like this tool because it gives you an idea. You don't have to enter anything here, just to give you an idea of the tools that are available to do all of that. Okay, if you are interested to probe further, there are lots of information out there. You can go and browse all of that. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. What are the next steps? Well, the next steps is obviously for you to watch the videos and then also have a one-on-one meeting. One-on-one meeting will be between me and your committee. Uh, it will be preferable if all your team members, I know you are super busy, but in the first meeting that all your team members are present so that they know and I will be happy to, and I will have to ask questions and I will happy to adjust the process so that I will do my best to meet your deadlines, your timelines, etc., etc. Now, we have constraints, obviously. We can discuss specific requirements to your program. If a program has been on hold or there are discussions, etc., etc., and we'll try to draft a timeline. Link to book a time, or you can also scan this QR code with your smartphone. If not already done, I will urge you to enter this information in the chat area or email it to me. This will allow me to better prepare myself for the meeting that I will have with you. So what I will need from you is what are the list of programs that you really would like to. And remember, would need to locate all the PLOs for these or these programs. And also, if the program is subject to compliance accreditation by external body, we'll need the documentation that will tell us what is the type of compliance that is requested. Final words. PLO revision creation is to align the PLOs with your vision as stakeholder, but also the vision of others. And we have also the strength and weakness analysis that may be handy in this relation. We need to ensure that your PLOs are specific, measurable, and achievable. It's a step-by-step process. There is nothing mechanical in this process. I'm 100% for delegating tasks, but please, the person to whom you would delegate this task has to be a professor who is knowledgeable about the vision of your academic unit. This cannot be a random graduate student who may or may not know what direction you would like to engage to. We have extremely refined tools at our disposition, and I will be here to provide you the necessary support to pick the right tool whenever the time comes. We have a series of fitness criteria, the rubrics, the degree level expectations, your competencies, and we know what typical number of PLOs are we targeting. And you have a bunch of examples from other programs. You have philosophy, you have science, you have math, chemistry, engineering, you have in whatever field you like, you have PLOs that can serve as a template for you to use it. Iterations. We need to do iterations to ensure quality. We are all busy. I understand that. But we need to put the necessary effort to have this specificity, measurability, and achievability for all the PLOs. And remember, if you have 15 programs, the bulk of the energy will be on the first flagship program that you need to point out or identify, and the rest will be much faster. But for the first one, we are going to have, not meaning to say that for the other program, we are not going to do iterations. We will have iterations, obviously. It's a consultative process. it can be informed by the strength and weakness analysis that is ongoing. So you may discover things out of your strength and weakness analysis, and that's a good point, actually. This shows that the strength and weakness analysis was powerful. We need the strong involvement of professors. By professors, I mean not only your committee, but you remember the consultative process. The worst thing, the worst surprise shock that I have received is that at the end of all my activities, I had a prof that say, I didn't know we have PLOs for our program. That was not a good sign. So this is why I allow myself to insist so much. Please involve all the colleagues in this activity as well. With this, I thank you so much. I'm free for the next 10 to 15 minutes. If some of you would like to stay, but I understand that many of you also have some other commitments. Please do feel free to send me emails if you have any questions. I will follow up with an email to all the participants here to kind of remind them about the next steps. So there's nothing to worry about that. And I thank you very much. Yes, thank you, Melanie. Yes, Chad, please go ahead. And then Danielle.
Edmund, I just want to thank you. This isn't my first time through this process, but what you've presented is so much more clear and helpful, and all the resources that you've assembled. So I'm very grateful.
I'm very happy to hear that, Chad. Thank you. Daniel?
Merci, Edmond. So one challenge I'm facing is we have multidisciplinary graduate programs that involve multiple faculties. I looked for learning outcomes in the collective agreement. There is no mention of that. So there could be some pushback from some professors, where we have no real authority sometimes. Is this something you face in the past, or?
Not really. Actually, we strongly encourage the consultative process to go, and thank you for bringing up this issue, to not only full-time regular professors, but also part-time professors.
Yeah.
And most of the time we have had good feedback, positive feedback in that sense that people seem to be valued by this contribution that they can do. They know where the program is going. And please remember, all of this is making sense. This is your vision, right? So it's clearly expressing and using the tools of the trade. This is not something extra that we are creating. This is something that should have been done a long time ago, but slowly but surely we're implementing. Hopefully with your help, with your diligence, we are going to overcome any, but I don't expect, to be honest with you.
I know we revised the PLOs a few years ago for the DTI program. We have good ones for the undergrad program here at SETI.
Nice.
I put some notes in the chat. So we, as you know, we're doing the EMP cyclical review. I guess you're already involved in this one. We're revamping a few other major programs in systems engineering. We're creating a fourth-year version of the bachelor degree in multidisciplinary design.
Sure.
So you will hear from us from various angles. We know about the process, but we will need some validation, I guess, at some point.
I look forward to it. I look forward. So Daniel, just to make sure you're working with Jack Van Beek.
Yes. So
okay,
I'm acting chair for SETI. So we are responsible for the EMP program where Jack is a director.
Perfect. Looking forward to work with you. Merci. Tara.
Hi, Edmund. I have kind of a specific question to our program. So I'm the Masters of Public Health program. And right now we have about 20 learning outcomes. We have different learning outcomes for our different concentrations within the program. Our public health has just released new core competencies that are not an accreditation standard yet, but eventually could be. So I think we have to align with that.
Exactly.
And I'm just wondering, in terms of process, should I meet with you first and go through this, or should I be trying to kind of do some alignment and then we meet? How do I start this?
Thank you for bringing up this issue. This shows that you are very proactive, and I have no doubt that we'll be able. I would recommend you locate all the material please do look forward for my email that I will send to you. I would recommend perhaps to meet up. So for me to better understand what are the challenges, what is the situation, because each case is different, and
Great.
then in order to avoid rework. So I will ask you to provide all this information, most of which you should have by now, and slowly but surely we'll plan the thing. How does this sound to you, Tara?
That makes me feel much better. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Are there any other questions? So if not, I thank you everyone and look forward to the next week to come. Thank you for your attention and your participation. Bye everyone.